Hello Year 1, this is your maths lesson for today. First thing we're going to look at is a revision of some of the things that we've covered so far in Year 1. So this is called a flashback 4 questions of things that we've done. Number 1, Amir and Ron share some strawberries equally. How many will they have each? So have a look, you could count how many altogether. You could see if it's possible to draw 2 rings around them to get 2 equal groups, one for each person. And make a prediction of what you think the answer is. And you're right if you said 4. You can see 2 kind of equal groups here, one here and one here. 2. Next we've got double 6 is, and we've got the eggs there to help us. So double 6 means 2 lots of 6. So have a think about what answer you'd get for that one. You're right if you said 12. From the teacher, I know not a lot of people have already got that fact that they can say really quickly. They've seen 6 so many times, they know to double it makes 12. You're not so sure you could count in twos, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, as a quick way of working out how many all together. Here, we've got to describe the groups of flowers. There are something groups of something flowers. So think how many groups and how many flowers in each one. So we have 3 groups of 2 flowers. And last of all, think about how you might solve 5 plus 8. And you would be right if you said 13. And we'll have a little look at that using some of the Numicon. So if we have a look, make sure I've still remembered the question correctly, 5 plus 8 I have. Now we can think about our 8 as being the same as a 5 and a 3. So 8 is the same as 5 and 3. Now that makes it nice and easy to give the 5 to the other 5, and that 3 left over makes it 13. So knowing those facts really quickly, that 8 is the same as 5 and 3, can help you to solve questions like that really quickly. And let's have a look at the main bit of our lesson for today. So we're going to be looking at quarters, and we're going to look at lots of examples of quarters in real life and also how we quarter amounts as well, like finding a quarter of 8, for example. So here is a very delicious looking cake. It used to be my granddad's favourite. Whenever I went to his house, he'd always have Battenberg. It probably still does. And with the Battenberg cake, it's got a quarter here that's just a plain colour. It's got a quarter that's pink and another quarter here. So it's made up of 4 quarters. You can see that really clearly as you cut up each of the slices. 2 pink quarters and 2 plain quarters. And another time here that you might see quarters on a clock. So we start at o'clock and go quarter past, because it's gone a quarter round the clock, to half past, to quarter to, and o'clock. We haven't done time in any detail in year 1, but that is just a little bit of input about how a clock, when you learn to tell time, you'll look at how we can split the clock into quarters. And that's where you might hear people say quarter past, because they've gone a quarter way around the clock. And some of you in my lessons have been bringing up different kinds of money when we've done our money work, like cents being from America or used with euros in Europe as well. Now in America, they have a particular coin that's called a quarter. And you have 4 of them to make $1. 4 quarters makes $1. We don't have a coin like that, but they use that word to get their 25 cents, which is a quarter. So there's some examples of when you might see quarters in real life. You might also have been to London and seen platform 9 3/4. So it's an imaginary platform from the Harry Potter books. And it means it's in between platform 10 and platform 9 and a bit closer to platform 10. So that's the way that we'd write 9 3/4. and it means bigger than 9 but not as big as 10. Now let's have a look at some of the Numicon pieces and see how we'd split these into quarters. So have a think what this shows. It's our number 4. We can split, that's a bit wonky, let's try that again. We can split our 4 into quarters like this, a bit like the Battenberg cake. So when we have a number 4, it can be split into quarters and we get 1 in each place. So it's like going half and half again to cut something into quarters. Have a think what this number is. And you are right if you said 12. And we can halve all the way down. And think about where the next line is going to go. So we get 4 equal bits. That's what we mean by quarters. It's going to go straight across like this. So now think, what is a quarter of 12? I've split our 12 into quarters. You're right if you said 3. Let's do the same with the 8. These shapes are nice and easy to work with because we can always chop them this way into quarters. So we can say, what is a quarter of 8? And it is 2. There is another way we could split this up though. So we could have also gone 1, 2, 3. 3 lines has also split that up into 4 equal pieces, a 2, a 2, a 2 and a 2. So we've proven in 2 different ways that a quarter of 8 is 2. Let's have a look at this reasoning problem. Can 10 sweets be shared into quarters? So if we put 1 in each quarter, we can share 4 into quarters, 5, 6, 7, 8 can be shared into quarters, 9, 10. So we've proven we can't share 10 sweets into quarters because, well, have a think, why isn't that quarters? We've got 10 sweets and we've put them in the quarters. You're right if you spotted they're not equal groups. So if we tried to share 10 between 4 people to make it into quarters, we'd end up with 2 left over that can't be shared. So they would get 2 each, but there would be 2 left over. We've written some word problems like that. So it could be, I share 10 sweets between 4 friends. That's quartering. We could use diagrams to help us. Let's move that down a bit. And that's sweet. I share 10 sweets between 4 friends. How many left over? And our answer there would be 2. Right, now one thing the teachers did on some of their maths training was to use pictures and not give you a question and try and think about some. The reasoning challenge you've got today has got lots of different problems, but using pictures to help you to solve them. Excuse me. So have a think what you can spot about this diagram. First of all, here are some useful words. Think about all together. How many sweets there are all together. Have a think about how many in each quarter. We could have some problems about how many are left. Let's go to the next page and see if we can write some. We've got the diagram nice and small at the bottom so we can put some word problems. So I could say Sam and Joe have, and how many sweets have they got? We could say 8 sweets. And think with quarters, how many quarters could they eat? Let's say a quarter each. They eat 1 quarter each. I can't type today. How many are left? So have a think what that would be. We can use our diagram. They won't move on here, but you can picture Sam is going to eat a quarter. Joe is going to eat a quarter. We can then think, how many left? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's make up a different problem using this. So let's have a missing number problem. 1/4 of. So let's think what numbers we could give if we wanted to give people a bit of a clue. 1/4 of something is something. I could give the answer on here. 1/4 of something is 2. I could also, if I was writing a problem, say 1/4 of, think what number would go here. 1/4 of something is 2. We could say 1/4 of 8 is 2. So we could write problems saying about finding a missing number, knowing that 2 is 1/4 of 8, and making one of those values missing. Let's have just one of the people eating some sweets this time. So we could have Sam eats keep wanting to press that W today, 1/4. I think how many we've got all together, 1/4 of 8 sweets. We could ask two different problems here. We could say, how many did he eat? So if he eats 1/4 of the sweets, think, how many would he eat? You'd be right if you said 2. We could also think, Sam eats 1/4 of the sweets, how many left? So if he ate 2 of them, we'd have the rest left, 2, 4, 6. So diagrams are really useful because I've given you some tricky problems there. And in the live sessions, we'll try and think about some together and we'll see how it goes. It's the first time we've done this. But drawing diagrams is really useful in maths, and we started with a diagram and thought about all the things that we knew. So here is the worksheet that we've got for you to do today. So it says circle 1/4 of each group. 1/4 of 4 is something. And you've got to use the pictures to say 1/4 of 12 is. C, 1/4 of 20 is. And then some sentences to complete. I'd use some small pieces or counters or Lego for some of these, so you can actually have them laid out and put them into halves and quarters. 1/2 of 12 is something, 1/4 of 12 is something, and repeat for 16 and for 8. And see if you see any patterns. And here's one a little bit like what we were doing. 1/4 is 6. You've got to draw things in to find the whole. And you can also choose to do a practical activity today. So if you'd rather, instead of the worksheet, find some examples of quarters in your house and either make a list of what you found, draw diagrams or take photographs. So you might be able to cut your lunch into quarters. You might be able to get some different amounts of objects and split them into quarters. Splitting a piece of paper into quarters. Finding quarters on your clock or watch, or do you even have any toys that have 4 pieces that slot together, or maybe even 8? So do your own exploring, finding lots of different quarters around your house. And we'll have another video that will just explain through some of the reasoning problems as well.